Hello, welcome to my diary. I'm Tatami. Here we talk about whatever I want to. And today, my topic of discussion I would like to be about how we need to look at the root issues of things that upset us, if they really upset us. Instead of just looking at surface problems and even surface solutions, surface symbolism, if we really care about these issues, we need to look at the root issue. What caused this? One of the main things I've been seeing about this lately has been looting. People are so concerned about looting. More people than I've ever seen be concerned about poverty, classism, the things that absolutely lead to people thinking that their one true option, their best option in and of this moment, is to take advantage of the chaos created by a protest and just see if they can get ahead. We've talked about that type of behavior when I talked about corporations looting, right? We talked about the blackout of the 70s in New York and how it changed people's lives. Yes, a lot of people went to jail, but the majority of people came home with more shoes, boom boxes, TVs, etc., than they really knew what to do with. And therefore, hip hop was funded. We're talking about, the street fashion, graffiti, music, other style, right? In a lot of different ways that beyond fashion. It's very interesting. Hip hop is so beautiful when you really study it and understand it. But at any rate, culturally it changed things for people who would have normally had to slave for weeks, months, years to just kind of boom get that thing that they would have had to spend a lot of extra time, energy, money, life force getting that, certain wealthy people without as much innovation don't have to spend time, energy, money getting. At any rate, it's something that you can see both sides. You can see the people who would have been annoyed that they had been, or really let down and hurt that they had lost boomboxes. You can also see the side of people who were so poor that for them this was the best come up, especially as an artist, especially as a creator, especially as somebody who would have never been funded otherwise because their art didn't uh, uplift the status quo. So that was the 70s. Now we have a quite different situation, don't we? Where people are hungry in a very different way. It was very sudden. COVID was very sudden and scary. People are scared they're going to be sick, especially people of color, especially black people, underprivileged people, the people who tend to be in essential work, as we're now calling those things. We used to call those things minimum wage jobs, but now we're calling them essential workers and expecting them to do it with this level of heroism as though they're the police, the firefighters, the doctors, but they actually aren't being in any way compensated as such. So now we're surprised with so many people suddenly out of work that we've got a lot of homeless people. We've got a lot of people who are, fighting for all sorts of things. They're out there doing all sorts of crazy. Some people are just shouting, some people just holding signs, and some people are crossing the line and looting. They are jumping into other people's lives and being like, you can share. The government's going to give you something and you can share. And that's basically the mentality. What we have is people angry that they're being robbed, but at the same time cannot in their mind recognize how, as a system, we have been systematically robbing poor people for decades, generations. The system is built on first slavery's back, people who are getting paid nothing, and then we have all these interesting histories about like hobos, immigrants, black people, the enslaved black people, people who came over here and were used for all they were worth, practically kept as slaves, We have all these interesting histories about that, but then we don't connect it to the present. We get very shocked and wild and put our hands up at the idea of having to address that history has an effect on these things. And in fact, this impact that we're seeing is very real and has a very deep rooted issue that needs discussing. So if you're concerned about looting, taking, stealing, why are you not also concerned about poverty, hatred against immigrants, hatred against people of color, police brutality, specifically over policing and brutality against communities of color, specifically black ones, and at times immigrant ones, native ones. Native ones are an especially egregious story that I think in many ways equals or parallels. That's the word I'm looking for. It's not quite the same, but it makes you feel almost the same amount, same kind of sick. The same kind of sick. You're just like, so they're roaming your community, acting like this too, acting like a fool too, acting like you don't exist and don't have rights and aren't a human too. Okay, I see it. I see it. And so there's a lot of deep seated issues, but that's the issue is that people, the second you bring up deep seated issues, because a lot of these deep seated issues weren't sowed in the early 2000s, right? They were sowed in 18, whatever, 19, early, whatever. And so it's offensive. That's my grandfather's sins. That's not my sins. I don't know what Christianity is about that makes people think this type of backwards way. What's all up in your Bible, y'all? I've read the Bible front to back and I am still confused as to how a lot of this behavior is being excused, decided upon. It must be contact with your God. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if people think they're contacting him, but they're contacting. I'm not sure. But there's like a level of confusion and misconflation that occurs, especially when people are in that realm, that absolutely leads, because you're a lot less likely to find the racists in the scientific community. You'll find them, like there's people out there who will convince themselves of eugenics even despite all the odds. You know what I'm saying? But it's still pretty rare because it's these people are looking for the facts, they're looking to be in the right. It's fairly rare to find somebody who just totally misunderstands the stats to the point where they're racist. But in religion, there's no such thing, right? Especially as you're already eager to condemn the religion of the indigenous, the religion of the tribal, the religion of the non Abrahamic folk, the pagan, if you will. So yeah, we have this weird issue where people are just fixated. And of course, the media plays a huge role in this. The media loves to focus and fixate on surface level issues that are not actually, they're the product of something else. So yes, that's an issue, but it's like, oh wait, but if we want to solve this issue, couldn't we solve these other issues that are absolutely prevalent? But if you go back that far, people get pissy. It's like they're like, you're race baiting, bitch. You're trying to start a war by pointing out real facts and real history. You may offend somebody. I'm the snowflake, I'm the race baiter, but somehow me pointing out basic history, no matter how far I try and strip down the history and the basic facts, y'all, I'm still somehow the race baiter hater. Everybody thinks it, and especially because I'm mixed, I think a lot of people think it. There's like the people who think I'm allegiance to this side, the people who think I'm an allegiance to that side, the people who think I'm like I don't know, just trying to start a war because fuck it, I'm not sure. But the fact of the matter is that if you're really a historian, if you're really somebody who loves the facts, honey, I love the facts. I love the superstition. I love the tall tales. I love the small tales. I love them all. I like it because it's a well-rounded story. Once you get the way people were describing things symbolically as well as literally, you've got a very interesting and thorough tale. That's why I like it. But see, even when I go that far, I remember that there's a root issue that started a lot of this. What goes back? What goes back? Maybe it's because I liked Cold Case as a teenager. What goes back? What happened before that? And what did you do before that? And what happened before that? And see, because we can point blames all the day. And I love to point blames, honey. You see me on here pointing blames all the day. Hey, you did this wrong. Hey, you did that wrong. But I don't stop there. I'm like, and your mama did wrong, and her mama did wrong, and she did wrong over there, and her in the corner trying to look like she don't have nothing to do with this. She has something to do with that, and her husband has something to do with that as well. I'm willing to go that far because I think it's important, and I think it's important that we remember it's important. Go for the root issues, honey. Don't just stop at the surface. Don't just be mad at this one little thing. If that makes you mad, honey, this should make you furious. And that's how we should be looking at our history. That's all I got to say on that, honey. I love you. I'm glad you're here. May ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads, and I will see you next time.